It's time to remove the mystery from medicine, to seize control of one's health, and to genuinely comprehend the essence of terms like wellness and wholeness. The Ask Dr. Jill podcast provides information, knowledge, and empowerment information to empower you to be wholly well. Dr. Jill Waggoner has nearly 3 decades of medical practice and has a deep-rooted belief in diverse approaches to patient care, well beyond conventional medicine. This realization has fueled her lifelong pursuit of understanding a holistic perspective on health.
Hello, we're glad to see y'all again. So happy that you decided to join us. Today, I have an amazing guest with me, Sherice Brown. A lot of you all have heard of Sherice. She's been doing some really wonderful things, and I'm going to start by we talk all the time. So first of all, do you mind if Sherice is one of my patients and one of my friends? Yes. And so we have, over the years, as we've gotten to know each other in the doctor-patient relationship and in the friend relationship, I have gotten to really understand her love and care for nutrition and health and well-being. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, many of her friends who are also my patients will call me and say, I'm thinking about Sherice said. So it's like Sherice is my my co-partner in caring for her friends. So I want to tell y'all briefly a little bit about her, and then I'm gonna let you tell some of the other stuff. Okay. But she does everything. So I know you recognize the last name Brown. Sherice happens to be married to Hall of Famer, Mr. Tim Brown. Mm-hmm. Timothy, isn't that right?
Well, Tim. Yeah,
Mr. Tim Brown, the amazing Tim Brown. And they're just great people and always in the fight to make sure that as many things are done as possible. And I appreciate both of you guys for that. But she's motivated by her compassion and driven by an unwavering dedication to community outreach. And that is the truth. Sherice selflessly volunteers her time to give back to those in need. She takes on the role of chairperson for numerous local and national charity fundraisers, including serving as a committee member at large for St. Jude Hospital and Athletes and Entertainers for Kids. Additionally, she proudly represents the Hall of Fame Health as an ambassador. I want to talk about that because I want you to tell me a little bit about that.
I sure will.
Sherice's philanthropic contributions are widely respected as she holds the esteemed position of being one of the founding board members of the Off the Field Players' Wives Association. Yes. So that means people who are no longer actively playing football, they are still contributing and using their platforms to make change. For more than 23 years, she's shown unwavering dedication by not only serving as an executive producer for the Off the Field Players' Wives fashion show. I have heard about this fashion show. And as a matter of fact, this year my daughter was at Super Bowl. Anyway,
and Jillian there.
Yeah, she but also taking on the role of chairperson. Yes. So you've done those in every Super Bowl city, and then also taken on the role of chairperson. Through her invaluable efforts, she has managed to assist in raising over $1 million for various charitable causes. Yes. And so it goes on and on. We don't even begin to talk about her education, but I just thank you so much, Sherice. If we had applause, we'd say,
oh my gosh,
thank you so much for coming.
Dr. Jill. You know, I
really appreciate it. So start by telling me about your education and how, I know that's a really big thing. And how did you become not only the philanthropist and all of that, but how did you become the person who's interested in health and wellness?
Wow. Well, you know, you want to always say that it's just something that just comes naturally. Well, it did come with me losing my grandmother to complications of diabetes at the age of 66. that happened, and it was just so devastating because here she was, this amazing, educated woman that was going on to do some incredible things, and just out of nowhere, we were hit with, she's in a coma.
Wow.
And she helped raise me. I was raised by a single mom, and my grandmother was, like, of course, the matriarch, but she was just everything to me. And to lose her in that way was just heartbreaking, but definitely put a compassion in me to want to help, starting with my mother, not go down that same path of where I had seen my grandmother numerous of medications on the side of her nightstand. Her weight was definitely a factor, a contributing factor of why she was diabetic, high blood pressure, cholesterol, all the things that, we are plagued with due to our background of our diet and how we're raised. And I always say, I never want to say the ignorance, I want to say the lack of education that is not provided for us or wasn't provided for, our grandparents and sometimes even our parents, that there is a way to live, I always say eat to live, and to make sure that we are making the right choices so that we can live and survive.
Yeah.
So,
and I would go on to say that not only lack of education information to the people and patients, but also with physicians. We are not trained in nutrition, and which I think is just ridiculous. And I was listening to somebody, and they said that a physician who does not know about food is like a fireman who does not know about water.
I agree.
It is just, it is that essential.
Definitely.
So, definitely. So, and I had the privilege of taking care of your mom.
Yes.
But I know that you are just absolutely passionate about that. So that was your grandmother.
That was my grandmother. And so with that, I started studying nutrition. I became a sports nutritionist through ISSA and studying with them. Of course, being a wife, being a mother to Tim Brown, the Hall of Famer, my lifestyle is completely just very, very busy. But I wanted to just receive all the knowledge that I possibly could in regards to nutrition and just fitness and wellness. And I've been studying for many, many years, just educating myself even more and more on how to help my family. And I know Dr. Jill knows exactly how passionate, probably too passionate. My family would say overly passionate, but about, just their health and wellness. When you come from the background that I come from, and I start with my grandmother, but I can also go into, of course, later in life, I lost my brother.
How old was your
My brother was 48 years old.
Wow.
And died of a heart attack. Was, very active like myself, was an avid bike rider. Very healthy for the most part as far as his diet, but he was a foodie and loved to eat. Some things I definitely wish I could have gotten to him a little sooner, just on, of course, with the education that we have in nutrition, I know those sodium levels that's in food when you're eating out and things like that are not, very beneficial for us, but he was definitely a foodie and enjoyed that. But he ended up dying from the toxicology reports stated that it was the widowmaker. So there was probably 100% blockage.
Wow.
And did not know it. Didn't have a clue. Didn't know the symptoms. I knew my brother was going back and forth to the doctor, just talking about his stomach. Having problems with digestive problems, eating, when he would eat, he would get sick, things like that. But nothing was relating or giving him, an indication that there was something wrong with his heart. I don't know how that, I still don't understand how we missed the mark. I don't understand how the doctors missed that one.
So there, for those of you all who don't know what the widowmaker is, it's the left anterior descending artery, which is the main artery that provides blood to the heart muscle.
Definitely.
And so it's such a big artery and covers so much of the heart that when the blood flow stops there, they call it the widowmaker because it's almost sudden death.
Yes.
And so that's real important. And the other thing I think it is important to say is that your brother was athletic.
Yes.
So I was talking to a patient yesterday, and he eats whatever he wants to eat. And he's like, but doc, I go to the gym. I said, okay. You cannot out exercise a bad diet.
Please.
And I think that happens sometimes among men, particularly those who are athletes. They feel like, listen, I can go and hit that gym and I can eat ice cream.
Definitely.
And I'm not anti-ice cream. I like a good bowl of ice cream myself occasionally. But what you really have to know is that there's risk associated with that. So you come with this personal commitment, which I think is great. It actually impacts all of us.
No, for sure.
And the understanding that it's not just genetics, but it's also
for sure.
What you eat and that's real important. So that's how you got there. Tell me though about Hall of Fame Health.
So Hall of Fame Health came about. So with our Off the Field NFL Wives Association, we met them at the Hall of Fame. We go to every single year to support the new incoming inductees. And they were one of the sponsors for the Wives Luncheon.
Got it.
Got into a conversation with them where they came on board. They wanted to provide health opportunities and testing and, limbs and surgeries for the players that were not receiving that assistance. Of course, you get a resistance from the others that should be doing it. But this was a group that came along that said, you know what, we have sponsors, we have partnerships, and we want to make sure that the players know what is available for them because most of the time they're getting denied, whether it's brain, whether it's sad. It's so sad.
I was looking at the new information that came out about the number of players that are denied support from their traumatic brain.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, so that's a really big deal.
So it was a really big deal. So we there was a connection that was there. They became one of our partners for our wives organization. And it was like a match made in heaven because everyone knows that the wife is the one that's going to take care of the husband. When we talk about being NFL wives off the field, we mean off the field where while they're playing the game, we're taking care of them.
Sure.
When they come off the field, we're the ones that's making sure, go to the doctor, get your cholesterol check, get your high blood pressure check, follow up when you my husband has a thumb that bends all the way back. And I'm like, okay, when are we going to talk? When are we going to address this and take care of it? A shoulder injury. When are you going to let Dr. Jill get you scheduled to get that shoulder taken care of? But it's us. It's the wife. It's the support that we give that makes sure that they're doing what they need to do to keep themselves healthy and the things that they ignore. You know how men are, Dr. Jill. You know that. Oh, I feel that. Oh, yeah, no big deal. And they ignore that. And they get signs, but they ignore the signs that because they've trained at such a high level, that pain is and part discomfort of their is not something that they're like,
and they consider some men consider that whining. So it's like, I'm not going to whine about this.
I'm not going to complain and I'm sure it'll go away. And, my husband's one of those people that never takes any type of medication. He's all natural enzymes. He has been for the past 20 plus years. And when I tell people, he gets up out the bed with no problem, where I have other wives and their husbands, wow, they're limping, they barely can get out of the bed. And so, of course, my husband is just a big advocate for just all natural things like I am. And it has been a blessing to be able to share those things. But I will get back to Hall of Fame Health and their impact that they've made on myself and my husband. We became ambassadors for them and for the Hall of Fame Health because so we could be a voice to be able to share our experiences with others. And we recently did a health assessment with them that was just incredible. We flew into Phoenix, and Honor Health is is actually the one that provided the assessment. And what they did, Dr. Jill, they did everything. They checked all of our levels. They did stress tests. They did an echocardiogram. Those were the things that, just really, really important. They asked me, well, what do you want to see? What do you want to know? And I said, my cardiovascular health.
Yeah.
I come from a history where my grandmother died of cardiovascular disease. My brother died from a heart attack. My mother has been diagnosed with AFib. I just want to know what is my health? What is my cardiovascular health, and what are things that I should know and be preparing myself for? Did all my blood work, came back, did everything, brought me, of course, in a room, and they took Tim and I separately through the whole assessment. And when they were in there, like, oh my goodness, your numbers are incredible. We can tell that nutrition and wellness and how you're taking care of your body is excellent. But they asked me, and which was so interesting, they said, do you back ride? And I was like, well, no, not really. I said, I work out pretty much 5 to 6 days a week, but that is not one of the things that I do. And they said, well, have you recently been sick? And I said, definitely, been dealing with a couple of viruses, and I knew there was something going on. Respiratory infections and things like that. I said, but, always well taken care of because I have you. So I didn't think anything of it. And he said, well, what we have found is that you have a heart condition.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh? What?
I know.
What? Yeah. I'm sitting there absolutely
I said
shocked.
The same thing. What?
What do you mean a heart condition? Yeah. And he said, well, what we're seeing is that your left atrium is enlarged. You have a clear fluid around your heart sac. You have a leaky valve. You have an irregular heartbeat. And I sat there, Dr. Jill, and I was just blown away.
Yeah.
And of course, we haven't gotten the genetic testing back to see if it's in my genetics.
Right.
We don't know.
Right.
But it was just interesting to me because Tim and I did a health assessment the year before and there was nothing with my heart.
Yeah. As we talked about it, and I think that we will be able to tell, it'll take us years to determine the effect that the coronavirus, the COVID-19 virus had on people. But I'm seeing a lot of cardiovascular stuff that's kind of just popping up, and it's unusual kind of cardiovascular stuff. And I think that's an important point, that even what you look like, really important, because a lot of people think, oh, I look good, or I'll hear people, it's like, oh, he looked so good. Okay, but he is dead nonetheless.
Right.
So you look good, but you were dead. It doesn't.
Yes.
And so to understand that regardless of what you look like on the outside physically, which you look amazing, of course.
Well, thank you.
And but also to still get those evaluations.
How important that is.
I think it is so important to have these conversations, because a lot of people who look at women who are NFL wives or NBA wives or they think of women as, oh, she's a Barbie doll. She doesn't have anything to do. And so she's attractive, and not understanding that you too are responsible for your husband's health.
Very much so.
Just like I'm responsible for mine and everybody else is, because that tends to be how women are, or how households are.
Very much
It is usually, not always, but usually mom, a wife, that determines kind of where you go, what the direction is. So I think that's a real important thing to say, listen, even after he gets off of the field, he takes off his Hall of Fame gold jacket, then I'm the one, if he can't get out of bed.
That's right.
That I have to make sure. And I say to people all the time that when you're married to somebody, if he's on dialysis, you're on dialysis too.
That's right.
Because you got to go and make sure he gets there and all of that stuff.
But I think we're their caretakers.
Yes. Yeah. And you owe it to your spouse.
Yes.
Be it male or female.
Very much so.
You owe it to them to take care of you.
That's what it says biblically.
You do.
In sickness or in health.
Yes, because we are coupled together.
That's right.
Until death do us part.
We're one.
And so we really want to spend our years having some good time and not at doctor's offices all the time.
Yeah.
So I want you, I know you do, I know you're busy and you got 1,500 businesses.
Very much so.
Girl, I am not mad at you. I am right on with you trying to have me 1,500 too.
Oh my
but
goodness.
I want you to share some insights into what your daily or weekly wellness routines look like. What do you do for Sherice to make sure that you're well?
I would love to share that. It's interesting when you ask that because my family thinks, oh my goodness, she makes us just, we're just tired of watching her. But I wake up in the morning, of course, and always with my devotional and prayer time, start my day off. Definitely lemon water. That is something that is just key for me. I start my day with lemon water.
Why do you do lemon water?
That is good for your digestive system, number one. Just cleansing. It helps with that.
Getting things going.
Get things flowing, get things going. I am one of those people, and I know people will differ in how they approach their workouts. I cannot eat before I work out. It's just something that I just can't do personally. I know some people were like, oh my gosh, how do you do that? But I prefer to work out on an empty stomach.
I do too.
I just do. Get there, get my workout in, and I have started doing intermittent fasting. Of course, I've incorporated that, which is amazing for me because it definitely helps me with, my day. Definitely getting my day started. As soon as I come back from doing my workouts, I'll get my shower. I'll start with just a plant-based protein shake just to get my day started after my workout. Always going with protein. Then I'll go ahead and I'll have like an egg white vegetable omelet within the next, hour to hour and a half. And then I'll go into my lunch. About another 2 hours after that, I'll do vegetables of some sort with, most of the time I may incorporate a little fish, some type of just maybe like tuna, or sometimes I'll do chicken breast. I'm not a big meat eater. I really lean towards just staying with fish. I'm not plant-based completely. I do incorporate that protein into my diet. But then of course I will do snacks in between. My snacks are always like berries or nuts, some type of fruit, and some type of nut. I can't do dairy. I learned at a very early age that I had lactose intolerant. I was lactose intolerant. Most people are. Most people are.
They don't know it, but
I have a gluten intolerance, so I can't have gluten. I have a sensitivity actually to corn. So my diet consists mostly of fruits, vegetables, lean meats, if I'm doing meats, but primarily quinoa, sweet potatoes, things along those lines. I'm not a big bread eater, even though I have definitely purchased the gluten-free bread to have it in case if it's something I desire. But that stops. And then of course my eating, I try not to eat past 7 or 8 o'clock at night because I know that our body needs that time to definitely refuel and burn the fat and all those good things and help with our digestive system, help us sleep better, all the things and the benefits that come along with that. And I know we haven't talked about it yet, but I'm in that menopausal age that just hits
Girl,
you.
hush. Are you? I have not yet hit.
No, you haven't hit that yet.
Girl, twice. I have hit it twice.
So it's so important to even bring in that aspect because there are so many things that happen to your body that you don't even understand what's happening. It just happens. And I have so many girlfriends that'll call me and just, oh my gosh, I'm having this. I can't get this weight off and I can't do this. And I'm exercising. I'm going to the gym. I said, but what does your diet look like?
Right.
Because that's very important.
Because we don't think about we don't think about the connection between what we eat and most things.
Yes.
It's kind of like, well, I'm hot, or I'm not sleeping well, and what happened, or my knees are hurting,
and my joints, and I'm locking up, and all these things.
It has a lot to do with it, and I think that just having the conversation and starting to say out loud, you are going to be menopausal. There are many of us that say, "Oh, I skipped menopausal." Girl, no, you didn't.
You did.
You didn't. You did not. You might not know
or
what.
Maybe had a milder case. Of it.
Well, you may not know what the symptoms are.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, our next episode
is
I am just going to talk about menopausal symptoms.
I love that.
Because a lot of women don't really know
them.
They don't know what the symptoms are. So yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
So how did you, when you became menopause, we're just gonna hit that for a second.
Yeah.
What changed for you in terms of how your body responded to your fitness routine? Was there any things that you changed?
I noticed similar things as what my girlfriends were saying.
Yeah.
The weight gain.
Yeah.
Especially in the middle, that middle section.
Yes.
You know,
when you are young, it's in the hips. But menopausal, it starts to.
Definitely. Yeah. And of course, I ended up having a hysterectomy in 2012 due to having severe anemia. So you
had some dysfunctional uterine bleeding.
Exactly. Very, very much so. You know, it just affected my life in a very bad way, only because I ended up having to have iron infusions at the cancer center weekly because my anemia was so low. Yeah. So I went through that young, and my doctor said, look, if you're not having any more kids, if you and your husband are finished, he said, I would really highly recommend that you do this. And at the time, my husband is so funny because they're taking me into the OR in the direction of surgery. And then we're passing by OBG, you know, where the babies are. He's like, I wish we were going in this direction. I was like, I know you do, sweetheart, but you know,
bless your heart.
Bless your heart. we have a beautiful family. We're good. It's retired. Right? You know, I went through a lot of things with my births. You know, all my babies were preterm. My first baby was preterm due to abuse that I had experienced as a young girl. So when I found out I was having twins, of course I was high risk, and they were preterm, but they still came in 36 in one day. And if anyone knows, for twins, 37 weeks is definitely full term. Full time. So I did actually, you know, pretty much go all the way with them, full term with them. But I say all that to say, just as your body adjusts with pregnancy, how your body changes with menopause.
It does.
And just seeing that was just, I didn't get so overwhelmed with it, because I know some people get very overwhelmed with it. I did experience the fogginess, the emotional ups and downs that you go through as well. And of course, I was blessed to have you, you know, to come and say, okay, let's sit down and let's just talk about this and what we need to do. And that was just a blessing for me, because I was able to also share that with other girlfriends, you know, that please don't be that person to say, oh, I'm just going to go through this. Listen. I don't recommend that. And I understand some women will do that, and they have their own personal preference, and that's fine. Right. But doing this without having you and what you have educated me and said, this is what you need to do, and doing it, and even in a holistic approach, it's important. I can't stress that enough, how important that is, because I've seen other things, and here I am again. I'm a researcher. So there's a book that I read, The Myths of Menopause. And as a matter of fact, and sometimes my menopause brain helps me, I forget names, but the author, the author, as I read that book, it was so just enlightening to me, because it's what your doctor and your mother didn't tell you about menopause. And it was just so important, because as I read it, a lot of stuff I did know, but a lot of stuff was great, because it confirmed everything that I had been saying about an anti-inflammatory diet. But also what was interesting to me, Dr. Jill, was seeing that with menopause, it puts us in a risk for heart attacks. Absolutely. Autoimmune diseases. Dementia. Yeah. You know, Alzheimer's. Yes. You know, I was just like blown away. I'm just one of those people that when something is happening to me, I'm going deep. I'm going deep. Well, because you need to understand. And that's one of the things that I appreciate about you, is that you have your knowledge base. It is much simpler and easier as a physician, as part of your team for keeping you well, if I don't have to just go back and teach you the alphabet. It just really, and I often don't understand how people will take their information from just anybody online. And then bring it into me and say, well, this
TikToker said this, like, really?
Yes.
What? But and also getting the bad information as well. So you have to have a good team.
Definitely.
You have to be educated. And just like you study about anything else, or, what are you going to pick? What shoe? Where are you going on vacation?
Exactly.
You also need to know the various ways to approach that.
Definitely.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that, because it's important.
It really is.
And it affects a lot of us.
Yes, it does.
I remember when I was menopausal, the way that I really knew that something was going on, I couldn't spell. I kept thinking, why can't I spell this word?
That's interesting. You said that. I've kind of gone through that. And I was an excellent speller.
And you were like, I can't spell. What is going on?
Definitely.
And it was just that my brain, and particularly later in the day, it was just my brain just was not working. And I had to start studying about menopause because my colleagues knew what I knew.
Yeah.
And we were trained, you just give everybody the purple pill, you give them Premarin. You start at 0.625, you go to 1.25 if they need to.
Right.
If they still had a uterus, you gave them Prim Pro. That was it.
That was it.
Nobody talked about what,
Wow.
And so that's one of the reasons that a lot of doctors don't know. And now there are a few more options in terms of what to give them, but they will go immediately to women, give you either an estrogen pill or something like that, or put you on an antidepressant.
That right there. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's not what we need.
That's not what we need.
That is not what we need. I am really, just like I said, just really researching and understanding how menopause affects us as women has been it's been incredible, because do you think about the knowledge that we have about it, how our mothers and our grandmothers had none.
Oh, bless their heart. So my great-great-grandmother, my cousins will look at this, and my great-grandmother, bless her heart, could be mean as I don't know what.
Yes.
And I was like, bless her heart, she needed some estrogen.
Right.
She just was.
Very much so.
Because she was just grumpy for a long time.
Exactly.
And so loved us, but was grumpy. And so when you go back and you look at some of what those women were dealing with, and decades ago, women were put in sanitariums because when they started to have those symptoms, they said that
they were crazy.
They were crazy.
Yes.
So having these conversations is really good, and we'll have to go back. And I'll have to have you back. There's some other stuff that we've been talking about. So y'all, we've been talking about there is a Netflix special, and we are really, I'm thinking I'm gonna do something really big with that, and maybe bring in an audience.
That'd be awesome.
And it's You Are What You Eat, and it's a twin study where they study twins and give them an omnivore diet and a herbivore diet, which means a vegan diet and a meat diet. Essentially.
Yes.
And they do follow blood work and all of that on them just to see, and twins, and they're identical twins.
Right, identical.
So identical twins are genetically exactly the same because they come from one egg that splits. So they have the exact same genetics. And that it's amazing. And I think that it would be great for us to come back and talk about that. We'll have to do that. So there's one thing too that I want to ask you, and our time is almost up.
Okay,
Let me say first, thank you so much for coming. Anyway, we could talk about this all night.
We always do. We get into long conversations about it.
I love it. So tell me, the one thing that I want to know is, you give to so many people.
Yes.
What does that do for you mentally and emotionally? Your sense of fulfillment and your sense of well-being. How does what you do for other people, how does that help you emotionally?
I tell people all the time, I know that it was my calling, and that God definitely called me to do this. You're more passionate about the things that you are very connected to.
Right.
I know that it is a ministry for me.
Yeah.
When I tell you, I feel it in my heart when I see someone who's suffering with health and wellness, whether that's mental health, physical health. Right. My husband tells me sometimes, you got to take your heart out of it. I can't.
Yeah.
It is just who I am.
It drives me.
I'm always trying to, how can I help? Sometimes people can't even afford, meal prepping. That is something that I provide for my clients.
Yeah, you do.
I do, do the meal prepping improving as well, you know, not just giving them a nutritional plan and giving them what they should, you know, definitely implement in their diets to help, and everything plant-based, everything, you know, holistic on those lines of trying to get them to understand the benefits of green tea, all, you know, just the benefits of ashwagandha, all the things that will help them naturally, you know, and we don't have to resort to other things. Of course, those things are there if they have to have them, but I want to provide a space for them to be able to come and know, here, I can reach out to Sherice and she's going to point me in that direction of helping me. So I think my fulfillment just comes with being able to be a source, a resource to others who have no idea on how to, you know, really, really improve their health and their wellness. And my husband always teases me. He's like, you just do this and never get $1, right? I said, you know what, if I could, I really would. I really would provide that.
That is, if you can find work that you would do for free, then you have found your passion.
Definitely found my passion. Definitely have found it. So grateful for the opportunity. And thank you so much for just having me to come here and have this, you know, this time with you. I know we talk all the time about just health and wellness, our families. And you have just been such a blessing to my family.
Thank you.
I just want to let you know how much we truly appreciate you.
Thank you.
Very much
Thank you so much for coming. I really, really appreciate it. Y'all, we are going to do some more stuff. Look out for the next episode, because I'm going to talk about the symptoms of menopause. And then after that show, we will have in a specialist where we talk about how you treat it and what to do and what to intervene.
That's awesome.
So again, thank you so much.
Thank
have
you
an
so
amazing
much.
day, girl. I love you.
Thank you. Love you more.